Your scan came back clean. The hospital sent you home that same day. And 3 weeks later, you can't remember a conversation that you had that morning. Your husband notices it before you do. You're sleeping through the afternoon and you're losing your temper over nothing. And now the insurance company is telling you that there's nothing wrong with you. I am Asthana with Caldwell, Wenzel, and Asthana injury lawyers, and we handle brain injury cases across Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and Mississippi. Today, I want to walk you through what a TBI lawsuit actually involves, how insurance companies fight these claims, and how we prove them. A brain injury happens inside the skull. It does not show up on a CT scan or X-ray. Doctors sort them into 3 categories: mild, moderate, and severe. A concussion is a mild traumatic brain injury, but mild is a medical classification. It is not a promise about your future. Research using Oxford University data found something striking. About 1 in 5 people in a crash suffers a brain injury, and more than 3/4 of those are referred to as mild. That is the microscopic damage that an ER CT scan was never built to find. When symptoms last beyond 3 months, doctors often call it persistent post-concussive syndrome. For some people, it never fully resolves. And this is not just a physical problem. Neurological data shows that up to 90% of these patients suffer from chronic and persistent headaches. Furthermore, landmark data published Journal of the American Medical Association Psychiatry reveals that roughly 1 in 5 people develop depression or PTSD. Because these mental health struggles alter a person's behavior, those emotional changes are usually what family members notice first. Insurance companies know that brain injuries are hard to see, so they build their whole defense around that. The first thing they reach for is the Glasgow Coma Scale. That is a score from 3 to 15 that first responders use at the scene. But it was built in the 1970s as a triage tool. It was never designed to diagnose a brain injury or to rule one out. People have scored a perfect 15 on the scale while bleeding in the brain. But a defense lawyer for the insurance company is still going to hold up that perfect 15 score to tell the jury that you were fine. The second thing that they attack is causation. If your early records are all about a broken bone, they'll say that you never had an injury in your head because no one put it down in words. That's a frustrating part. The ER treats what's broken and bleeding, and no one stops to ask you about your memory. There's a rule in Alabama that you need to know. It's called pure contributory negligence. Insurance companies often use this rule to minimize the value of your claim or to get rid of it completely. And if you're found even 1% at fault in causing the accident, you may recover nothing at all. Alabama is one of only a few states that actually works this way. So an insurance adjuster is always going to try to pin a small amount of blame on you, because 1% fault can end your claim. So do not admit fault and do not guess about what has happened. And do not give a recorded statement to an insurance company before speaking to an attorney. If an adjuster has already suggested that you were partly at fault, hear me out. This is usually their starting opening move. This is not the final word on your case. A driver in Mobile, Alabama gets rear-ended at a stoplight and hits her head on the steering wheel. At the scene, she says that she's okay. 2 days later, she ends up at the ER complaining of a sharp pain in her wrist. Turns out she had a fractured wrist and she gets treatment for it, and then the ER sends her home. Weeks later, her cast comes off, but her husband starts to notice things. She's forgetting conversations and is sleeping throughout the day. She's losing her temper over small things that is not characteristic of her. And a neuropsychological exam later confirms a mild traumatic brain injury. The insurance company argues that it's unrelated. That's because nothing about her head appears in the first records. Connecting those symptoms back to the crash is what keeps her claim for traumatic brain injury alive. So how do we prove an injury that no one can see? First, medical experts, neurologists, neuropsychologists, and psychiatrists. Each one explains a different piece of the injury. Second, objective testing. A 3T MRI or a neuropsychological evaluation can document what the first scan missed. Third, the people that knew you best. Friends, family, or coworkers. They describe who you were before this happened to you. A jury has never met you before the accident. Fourth, the crash itself. whether your head struck something or whether the airbags deployed. And fifth, the future, ongoing therapy, lost earning ability, and care over a lifetime. For a serious brain injury, those costs can reach into millions, which is exactly why insurance companies fight these claims so hard. Now, let's talk about deadlines because those are absolute. In Alabama and Florida, you typically have 2 years from the date of the accident to either resolve your claim for money or file a lawsuit. And in Mississippi, it's generally 3 years. There are two more things worth knowing. If a drunk driver or someone distracted by a cell phone caused your injuries, Alabama calls this wantonness, and punitive damages may be available to you on top of your other losses. And if the at-fault driver had little or no insurance, your own underinsured motorist coverage can pay. So make sure to pull out your declarations page and check. Now, there are two things that will sink the value of your claim significantly. First is a gap in treatment, and second is settling too early. So here's what to do right now. See a doctor and report every single symptom: headaches, fatigue, memory problems, dizziness, mood changes, and sleep problems. All of it. Ask your family and friends to write down changes that they're noticing in you. Keep every medical record and every bill. Do not give a recorded statement to the insurance company. Stay off of social media while you're recovering and speak to an attorney as soon as possible. You do not have to figure this out alone. A brain injury significantly changes how you live and how you work, even when no one else can see it. You should get to tell that full story, not the shortened version that the insurance company would prefer. If your symptoms started right after the crash and no one is connecting the dots, let us take a look at it. Our consultation is free, and you pay nothing unless we recover for you. We have offices across Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, and Jackson, Mississippi. If you cannot come to us, we will come to you, and we also offer virtual consultations. So call Caldwell, Wenzel, and Asthana to find out what your case is worth, and we look forward to working for you.